Hugging women the Stoic way. 5 fatal mistakes you must avoid. Stoic bloom. Have you ever hugged a woman and instantly felt the energy shift? Not because she said something, but because her body withdrew, even while staying close? What if I told you it's not the hug that pushes her away, but the energy you bring into it? And yes, she can feel everything before you even touch her. In a world obsessed with charm and confidence, here's what no one's talking about. One wrong move in a hug can undo hours of genuine connection, but one grounded moment can leave a mark she never forgets. Part 1. Rushing the hug too soon. Let's begin with the most common and most subtle mistake. Moving in for the hug too quickly. You think it shows confidence. She feels it as pressure. You're trying to connect. She experiences it as control. When you rush a hug, what you're really doing is interrupting the emotional rhythm of the moment. You're not reading her breath, her pace, or the subtle signals of her nervous system. You're skipping the symphony and jumping straight to the finale, and she notices. A hug is not an action. It's a conversation without words, and conversations need timing. Stoic philosopher Epictetus once wrote, "No great thing is created suddenly." That applies to architecture, character, and connection. A man who rushes a hug is often trying to reassure himself, not her. He wants confirmation, validation, closure. But intimacy doesn't bloom through force. It opens in safety, like a flower touched by morning light, not slammed open by hands that can't wait. When you pause, when you offer space instead of taking it, she feels something most men never give her: choice. And when she chooses to lean in, the hug becomes sacred. It becomes consent, not performance. Connection, not calculation. If you've ever left a hug wondering why it didn't feel right, rewind your pacing. Were you truly attuned to the moment, or were you chasing the end result? If you're someone who's done this without realizing it, and most men have, now's your chance to change. Subscribe to Stoic Bloom, where we don't rush the story. We read the moment. Like this video if you believe intimacy is built, not begged. Share it with that friend who always moves too fast and ends up wondering why no one stays. Stoic Bloom. When you wait, you earn more than her hug. You earn her trust. Part 2. Hugging without confidence. You can't fake presence. You can mimic body language, you can memorize timing, but if you hug her without confidence, her body knows. Not her brain, not her thoughts. Her body, it stiffens, it tightens, it retracts. Because deep down, your insecurity didn't just show up in the hug, it was the hug. You see, most men treat the hug like a mechanical move. Arms open, step forward, make contact. But women don't feel your technique. They feel your energy. A man who hugs with fear doesn't need to say a word. His body does all the confessing. The grip that's too loose, the contact that hesitates, the breath that betrays a nervous system on edge. When you don't believe in yourself, you ask the hug to do something it cannot do. Prove your worth. In that wait, she feels it. She wasn't asking you to be perfect, but she was hoping you'd be present. A confident hug doesn't mean forceful. It doesn't mean dominant. It means you're there. All of you, in your body, in that moment, with her, not trying to perform, not scanning her reaction, not adjusting to gain approval, just being still, solid. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." And the same is true for your embrace. If your soul is scattered, the hug becomes an apology. If your soul is centered, the hug becomes an anchor. Women don't remember technique. They remember how grounded they felt in your arms. And confidence, it's not in the hug, it's in your breath before the hug. It's in your willingness to be seen, not just to be accepted. Let your arms speak only when your spirit is ready to listen. Stoic bloom. Confidence is quiet, but it can be felt like thunder in a still room. Part 3. Treating the hug casually. A hug isn't just a hello or a goodbye, it's a declaration. And when you treat it casually, she hears that declaration loud and clear. This doesn't mean much to me. You might not intend that, maybe you're just trying to keep it cool. You don't want to come off too eager, so you go in for a light pat, a quick shoulder tap, maybe a half-hearted squeeze with your phone still in your hand. What she feels is not nonchalance. She feels absence. Because here's the truth no one tells you. The opposite of passion is not rejection. It's indifference. When you hug her like it's an afterthought, you're telling her she's just another interaction, not an experience. You're signaling that this moment doesn't matter. And women don't remember what didn't matter. Think of it like this. Would Marcus Aurelius write a letter without intention? Would Seneca offer a speech with half his heart in it? Would Epictetus speak truth while checking his scrolls? A Stoic doesn't go through the motions. He brings meaning into every motion. Even a hug. A man of presence doesn't perform passion. He embodies it. And that presence makes a simple embrace feel like a sacred pause in the chaos of life, a quiet exhale in a world full of noise. Women aren't asking for drama. They're asking for depth. They don't want a stage performance. They want a moment of being seen, felt, and held, not just physically, but energetically. So the next time you hug her, don't do it halfway. Don't hug while distracted. Don't hug out of obligation. Hug with intention. Hug with your full presence. Hug like you're not just passing through, but standing still with her in that moment. If this message slapped you, gently of course, into self-awareness, then welcome. You're not broken, you're just waking up. Subscribe to Stoic Bloom for more quiet truths that shake the soul. Like this video if you've ever been hugged by someone whose body was there, but their mind was long gone. Comment with the best or worst hug you've ever received. And share this with that one friend who hugs like they're returning a borrowed jacket. Stoic Bloom, hug with purpose or don't hug at all. Part 4, hugging without emotional depth. It's possible to do everything right and still feel wrong. You timed the hug perfectly. Your posture was solid. Your grip was firm but not forceful. And yet, she pulled away quicker than expected. Her smile dimmed, her energy shifted. Why? Because your technique may have been polished, but your presence was missing. This is the most deceptive mistake men make, hugging like a checklist instead of a channel, going through the outer motions while the inner world stays cold, guarded, or absent. And women, even if they can't articulate it, feel this gap instantly. You can't hug a woman from your shoulders. You hug her from your core, from the place where thought softens and sincerity speaks without words. A hug without emotional depth is like a meal without flavor. It fills space but leaves emptiness. Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "A gift consists not in what is done or given, but in the intention of the giver." The same applies here. Your hug is not just about action, it's about emotion. If your spirit isn't in it, neither is your message. Because to her, a hug isn't about posture. It's about access. Access to your calm, your courage, your capacity to simply feel with her without fixing or fleeing. And when you hug without that inner openness, it doesn't matter how technically correct you are. What she receives is hollowness dressed as form. Real depth doesn't require you to be poetic, mysterious, or emotionally intense. It simply asks you to be honest, present, grounded, willing to let the hug say what your mouth doesn't know how to express. So next time you hold her, ask yourself, are you touching her or just touching? Because the former creates connection. The latter just checks a box. Stoic bloom. Depth is not about drama. It's about presence that lingers after your hands let go. Part 5, misusing the power of touch. Touch is powerful, but like all powerful things, fire, truth, silence, it demands reverence. And without it, touch can go from healing to hollow, from sacred to manipulative. Here's the mistake most men make. They touch to get something, not to offer something. They lean in, hoping to spark desire, signal affection, or secure validation. But touch given with an agenda becomes performance, and performance is always felt. You may think you're being subtle, but her nervous system feels everything. She knows when your hand lingers too long, not out of presence, but out of need. She knows when your embrace isn't about her, but about your own discomfort with silence. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. And in physical contact, your thoughts stain your touch. If you're carrying anxiety, urgency, or lust masked as connection, your touch betrays you, and it costs you something greater than attraction. It costs you trust. But when touch is offered with intention, not expectation, something changes. You're no longer doing intimacy. You're becoming a safe place for it to rise. The back of your hand resting gently on her shoulder. The way you release the hug just as she begins to lean deeper. The way you don't chase the next moment but hold space for this one. That's when touch becomes a message. A mirror, a moment she'll remember, not because it was electric, but because it was anchored. You weren't trying to impress her. You were simply there, fully, quietly, and without demand. If this part made your spine straighten a little, good. You're remembering the kind of man you actually want to be, not the one culture sells you. Subscribe to Stoic Bloom for more reminders that real presence doesn't require noise, just stillness that speaks for itself. Like this video if you believe that touch, when misused, becomes noise, but when mastered, becomes language. Comment with the most grounding moment of physical connection you've ever experienced. And share this with that one guy who thinks touch is a button to push, not a gift to offer. Stoic Bloom, touch with reverence, or not at all. Final reflection. The Stoic hug is an inner posture. This video wasn't just about 5 mistakes, it was about 5 mirrors. Each mistake you make when hugging a woman isn't random. It's a reflection of where your inner posture is off. You didn't rush the hug because you were broken. You rushed because you weren't grounded. You didn't touch her wrong because you lack affection. You touched her wrong because you lacked awareness. These weren't physical errors. They were philosophical gaps. You reached out before reaching inward. And that's the essence of Stoicism applied to connection. Not control over others, but command of the self. Let's revisit what the Stoic hug actually means. You control space, so she feels safe entering it. You master emotion, so your body doesn't beg for reassurance. You act slowly and with presence, not to impress but to invite. You remain centered, so your presence becomes something she can lean into, not lean away from. Marcus Aurelius held that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. When it comes to connection, that power is the difference. You don't need more techniques, you need more presence. You don't need to memorize what to do. You need to embody why you're doing it. Because in the end, a woman doesn't remember your arms. She remembers the energy they carried. She remembers if you hugged from fear, or from stillness, from emptiness, or from fullness, from performance, or from peace. And that memory, it lingers long after skin leaves skin. If this video helped you see yourself more clearly, not as a man trying harder, but as a man growing deeper, then join us. Subscribe to Stoic Bloom for more grounded, soul-sharpening wisdom that speaks to your highest self. Like this if you're tired of surface-level advice and want something that anchors you. Comment below with one Stoic insight that's changed how you approach connection. And share this with someone who's ready to trade performance for presence. Stoic Bloom, where every gesture begins with philosophy.